been waiting way too long. Yeah, I've been down here trying to get it. Yeah, I've been waiting way too long.
Alright, this is the video for 4.5, proving triangles are congruent by angle side angle and angle angle side. So the angle side angle congruence postulate says if two angles and the included side of one triangle are congruent to two angles and the included side of a second triangle, then the two triangles are congruent. Alright, so let's see what this would look like with actual triangles. So it's two angles and the included side. So I'm going to mark off the angles first. So let's say A is congruent to X and C is congruent to Z. So that's two angles and the included side is AC and XZ. So again, you have the side that is between the two angles that are congruent. So the congruency statement I would write here. Okay, again, A goes with X, C goes with Z, so then B must go with Y. So I could write it like this. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle XYZ, and that is by angle side angle. The angle angle side congruence theorem says if two angles and a non-included side. So let's see what this would look like. So let's call this PQR and ABC. So two angles and a non-included side. So let's say P is congruent to C. Then we're going to say that R is congruent to A. So there's two angles. What is the non-included side, or a non-included side? So one of the non-included sides would be PQ. Now what would that correspond to? So again, if R is congruent to A, so R goes with A, and P is congruent to C, P goes with C, then that must mean that Q goes with B. So this should be RPQ is congruent to triangle ACB, in which case PQ would correspond with CB. So that's the non-included side. What would the included side be? The included side would be PR and AC, right? That would be the side between the two angles, but that's not what this is talking about. So this would be your congruency statement, and you would say this by AAS. So we're going to prove this. So we are given that angle QRP is congruent to angle SPR. QRP is congruent to angle SPR. And we're also given that QPR is congruent to SRP. Make sure you know how to indicate that on the triangles. And we're going to try to prove that triangle QRP is congruent to triangle SPR. So what do we have so far? We have an angle and an angle. So what are ways that we have proved triangles congruent? We've used side, side, side. We've used angle, side, angle. And we used angle, angle, side. So we need to figure out if one of these will work for this proof. Well, again, we have two angles, so we probably want to use either this one or this one. So either we need the non-included side or we need the included side. So the included side would be this. That's the side between the two angles that are congruent. And what I see from that is that that side is in both triangles. And so that is PR is congruent to PR because it's reflexive. And so we can probably prove it that way. So let me go ahead and fill this out. So now we're going to say that PR is congruent to PR. And that is the reflexive property. So again, we have an angle, and a side. And that side is the included side. And so that's angle, side, angle. So now we can say that triangle QRP is congruent to triangle SPR because of angle, side, angle. And that's it.
I've been waiting way too long.